Gentlemen No Class is proud to be a part of the HC Universal Network. Gentlemen No Class is produced, mixed, and edited by M5 Studios.
This podcast contains explicit language and is intended for adult audiences. The views and opinions of Gentlemen No Class are strictly for comedic purposes and should not be taken literally. For instance, like this disclaimer. Now grab yourself a pint and enjoy.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Gentlemen No Class, a podcast that when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. I'm Jake.
And I'm Rob.
Paul.
And Peyton. We are the hosts for this episode. And I am wearing the same shirt as the last episode. Thanks, Rob, for calling me out.
I fucking told you.
Yeah, it's okay.
He's saying you're dirty.
It's okay.
I mean, I called it out.
Crazy.
I called you out on it off air. You didn't have to bring it up on air.
I mean, the two people that watch this are going to be like, hey, that guy was wearing the same shirt.
They're not going to know.
They
They're,
might get that right.
they're going to think that I did a costume change in between the episodes.
We actually record the back, so it's the same day.
We
just don't know that.
This is live. We're doing it live. Doing it live, baby.
Lazy.
I feel good.
Fuck.
You're
Okay.
a lazy fuck.
I feel good too.
What Rob installed.
They do make
Yeah,
things
that's
look
it.
a lot
The
better.
tones, you can see my
Sure.
Mexican skin a little bit.
That's
more.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
what I
they
meant.
need a little bit of adjustment, but it's way better than it was. And these things were. Let me see if I got a camera shot so people can kind of see this a little bit.
There you go.
This is
Hey.
we got these lights. We should get it like a sponsorship deal from
Keep
Amazon.
spamming them.
So
Keep
yeah,
spamming
just
them. That's how you do it.
They're bringing
Just
them
be annoying.
Like they have pretty good
Antagonize
product, man.
them.
I mean, they were like one of the when it first came out, like intro level stuff. But this stuff is pretty professional looking, man.
it is pretty legit. I like the warmth on them is adjustable. So like if you have a decent camera setup. Where like for us we have a couple different cameras. This camera Pro 10 that just got released or whatever. But
Damn, that's
yeah, see this is what happens.
What
Like
happened
when you
there?
have a GoPro, like it
SD
it
card.
jumps back
I
and
want
forth.
that 4:3 ratio.
Yeah. So it just does that. All the GoPros do that. So if you're gonna be
Easy in the settings.
whatever, dude. If you're gonna podcast and live stream, don't use a GoPro because they
For GoPro.
nah, fuck them. We've already replaced them. So like
Yeah. that's true.
if you're thinking about live stream podcasting, like we seem to be working really well for us. This Sony, this is an A
6,000.
6400.
No, that's a 64.
This is a 6400, and then this one that Powell is on over here is a 6000. So
keep them 1080.
Mm.
Let's throw him. They're all 1080. I know
they're
right
all
now,
1080.
but I mean,
Yeah,
the
they're all
64 can
1080,
do 4K.
please, baby.
it can be better.
I'm trying to make a jab at Paul. Just roll with it, please.
All right, I got you.
Didn't even hear it.
Cool. That hair.
Nobody
that's in the way.
cares.
I know. Yeah.
It's that few. That
We pulled up in the driveway, and Melissa
Four.
goes,
Four.
"What's?"
Two. No, one. It was just
Melissa
one.
goes, "What's Paul's mom's name?" And I was like, Delia. And she was like, "So why does it say CJ loves DJ?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Delia. That's right. I was
Yeah.
close.
Close
Delia.
enough.
It's close.
Close enough.
Delia. Yeah.
Delia.
Celia Delio. Same thing.
Whatever.
I've met one other Delia in my life, and
Really?
that was a couple of years ago when I was doing it was a project for FEMA after Harvey, and she was just for like government funded and just helping her out, and it was sweet because she and I almost cried.
Oh.
I told her, it's like, I never met anybody. I was like, Mom, that's my mom's name. It's like, I never met anybody ever with that name. My fucking heart out.
That's funny. That's funny.
All right, okay. That's a little better. That's fine. That's a compromise. Okay.
All right, just bring up the little conversation. The Texans are back in action.
They're still fucking terrible.
No,
Although
they're not.
I did watch
What,
that, and
they're
they
handing out
kicked
touchdowns.
the fuck out of the
They
Jags.
did, but I mean, we'll see. They're playing against the Browns this Sunday, and that's going to be.
Are the Browns any good?
No, they're great actually this year.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
Sports.
I know, right?
Oblong throwing sphere.
Nice.
Yeah.
A bunch of guys just in
Guys in tights, yeah.
Yeah,
hugging each other for this ball. Looks like a
Speaking
nut.
of guys in tights, have you been watching
No
Heels?
heels.
Our good buddy Ryan the Bear Davidson
Oh yes,
has it's not a starring role, but it is a
No, I have not seen it though.
he plays like I think it's on Stars, I want to say.
Nice.
But he's in there like a lot of the Booker T guys. You know, they film a lot of that with their facilities and stuff. So he plays some of the. He plays one of the wrestlers, kind of in the background. I don't think he has any speaking roles, but as they're doing stuff like,
That's cool.
you can see him in the background and stuff in matches and stuff. You can see him doing some cool shit.
Hell yeah.
So we'll have to flesh this out into something cool. We'll have to bring him back on.
Ryan.
And still some
Right,
of his
Joe
audience,
Buca. I
Joe
mean,
Buca,
excuse me.
I saw him post a video of him actually doing like a spinning top rope splash on somebody or 2 people or something like that. I'm like, dang, that guy's fucking moving on up, man.
Yeah,
working on his moves.
He's definitely like whatever's going on in that Heels show. Like that is I haven't. I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen it either. But it's you're a wrestling fan, right? So like heels are like the guys that you love to hate. You know what I mean? Those are the bad guys. You know what I mean? So that. He's like, I guess it's two brothers like vying for control of their father's wrestling empire after he dies, like trying to take it mainstream or something.
So wait,
like
hold
that.
on. This is an actual like show, or is it like a?
It's not a documentary. It's not a documentary or docuseries. It's an actual like. It's a fictional show. Yeah. So
very cool.
So he's Ryan does you see him in the background doing a lot of stuff and a lot of the matches and stuff. He's very prominently presented. He has a pretty unique look, so you can pick him out. You know what I mean?
Very cool.
He wears his own. It says RDB Ryan Davidson Bear Ryan whatever it is. And, you can tell it's him. So he's very hard to miss.
Yeah, exactly.
So, especially after the shaved head and everything.
Yeah, he did go shaved head. That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
That guy is very dedicated to his craft, man, and I got to give him to him. I remember he was talking about how he went to what's that, A&M in El Paso, I believe it's called?
Oh, yeah.
West Texas A&M?
Yeah.
And that's where all the wrestlers went to. And that's the reason why he went to that school. That's insane.
He's got drive. He's determined. Yeah. He knows what he wants, and he's doing what he's going to have to do. That's what it takes, folks, to become, to just achieve things. Just humble beginnings. People forget or just don't know. It's kind of funny. People just get mad at people who are successful or rich and whatnot. It's like, they weren't. There was a point in their life they weren't like what they are now. Like they were, they started with nothing,
right?
And they worked their way up,
right?
And it just. I don't know. Just people just get. I don't know. People get upset about shit.
It's just determination.
You can do it. It just
my wife's a relative is a doctor, and he's like, man, I'm not smarter than you. It just I had an endless amount of money, so to say, to retake these fucking classes. And you just keep the drive, just keep going and going and going. Just like this podcast. What episode are we on?
7.
This is episode 93. So yeah, like it's not that we have like an infinite amount of like. It's just we have, and not an infinite amount of money either. We have enough money. We have enough money to where like we can keep things interesting for us. And that's the one thing. If you're ever thinking about starting a podcast, that's one thing to think about. If it doesn't sound good, it won't. If it doesn't sound good and doesn't look good, you won't pursue it any further than that. So that's always a thing to think about. You know what I mean? If you're gonna, like Ron Swanson says, don't half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing. You know what I mean?
There you go. And who's Ron Swanson?
From Parks and Rec.
Mustache.
Nick Offerman's character. Yeah, see, Paul knows. Paul knows,
man.
Yeah.
Fucking losers.
What?
Yeah.
So anyway, we were debating back and forth on, what topic to do this podcast on. So I thought, since the trailer dropped and Paul watched it, I thought that it would be a good idea to do it on the new Matrix Resurrections movie that's coming out, and it's dropping pretty quick. I thought it was interesting that it's dropping as fast as. Did you find that interesting, Paul? Like it's dropping in like December. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. Well, speaking of sidetrack, real quick, I just saw the trailer for Venom Carnage. Remember, I asked you like 2 weeks ago. Damn, excuse me. Do you know about that?
Yeah, we've all seen it.
What? I didn't even know. That's why I asked you, if there was another
think it's
like
an older
sequel
trailer.
to Venom, and you said no, and there
Oh,
was
I thought you
nothing.
had already known about the Carnage because you were like, I want
No.
to see a Carnage standalone movie. I thought that,
Oh,
that
you
you
didn't
were
know they were
referring to a
making a-
Carnage standalone
No,
movie.
Woody
no,
Harrelson
no.
as
I was talking about
Cass Cletus?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, sequel
So
just,
there's already like
Venom.
2 trailers for it. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a sequel, the Venom 2. Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. So
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson's
And what it
playing-
is, I think the way he becomes Carnage in the movie, I think it shows it in the trailer. Like, I think Eddie Brock goes and visits him, I
And he
believe.
bites
and
him.
bites him.
Which
and
is-
gnaws on his finger, and then he got
Yeah.
a little bit of the...
in his
in-
blood,
yeah.
yeah, which is where I mean the
I don't know,
symbiote, the
is that part of the
symbiote.
comics or
No, not really.
No.
Like so in the comics, like in the comics, like the symbiotes are, what is it? Asexual. So like they just spawn offspring.
Yeah.
So the Venom symbiote spawns an offspring while Eddie Brock is at the prison. And it kind of like hides in Cletus Cassidy's
Gotcha.
cell and
Yeah,
then bonds
yeah,
with
bonds
him.
with him,
And as every generation, like they all have different characteristics and things like that. So like the one that bonds with Cletus Cassidy does bond to his blood instead of like a normal way, but the other the black chick that's in the trailer, I don't know if you saw that, but like she's going to be playing Shriek, which is another symbiote. But it I don't know. We'll see how it kind of plays out, but it's weird that they still haven't wrapped in like. Okay, so I'll just throw like this: when Venom initially came on scene, right? Venom came on scene and he had powers similar to Spider-Man because he had bonded to Spider-Man first
Right.
and absorbed some of Peter Parker's powers. Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah.
Peter Parker's powers.
Penis's
So,
powers.
so that
Peter
is
Parker.
not. It hasn't met Peter Parker yet. It just bonded with Eddie Brock. So that hasn't happened. So if you've noticed, like, there's not really any like they're doing a good job of like keeping away from him. But like eventually it's got to happen, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like we've got to be able to see
Spin a
that.
web or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the comics, like he shoots out of his hand.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
but anyway, yeah. So in the comics, like it's a symbiote spawn of Venom that becomes different spawns that happen along the line. Carnage being one of the more ferocious ones, but I mean, there's other ones that spawn off of
yeah.
Carnage, like I forget.
It's
what all
an
the
endless
names
amount of
are.
them,
Yeah. But you hadn't seen the trailer. I thought that you had seen the trailer.
No, I saw part of it when I was at this restaurant earlier today.
Oh,
But
okay.
anyway, back to the Matrix. His
Oh,
so-
you're tired of
so-
Venom and Carnage?
No,
already.
no,
Okay.
no, because I sidetracked. I didn't mean to, and like we're just on a tangent, but we're gonna stay focused on that,
Okay,
right?
yeah,
right,
well,
right.
yeah.
Down to the trailer, like from what I gathered is I'm kind of confused. I saw it once, but is it? Yeah,
Okay.
I actually watched them recently earlier this
I'm
year.
gonna go back and rewatch them now. But if you remember, like the deal, so the deal was
First
is
one's
that
the best.
it is the best.
Which
And
one?
The first
Oh,
one.
okay.
Yeah.
So if you remember, like the deal is that Neo makes like along the lines of him, you know, moving where he's at, he meets the architect, right? And the architect explains to him that he's the 6th iteration of this anomaly that happens. That to the best of the architect's ability, he can't get out of the code. So he's coded the Matrix, and for some reason he's tried to code like there's this random jumbling of code that forms itself into into this anomaly that becomes Neo, right? So through the best of his abilities, he's not able to decode that out of the Matrix. He's tried, and Neo says, you know, like, but I'm different. And he says, well, no, you're the 6th iteration of the anomaly. You know, this has all happened before. And he shows him like all the different times that he's talked to him. And they all make the same choice, but Neo is different in the 6th iteration. He makes a different choice. He chooses Trinity over himself. And so Neo goes with Trinity to try to stop, to get a truce in the war, right? So the war is over because the Matrix has become overridden by the computer virus known as Agent Smith, right? So Neo's like, if you let humans leave by their own volition, like I will go in, and even if I have to sacrifice myself, I will rid the Matrix of, the virus known as Smith, because it's grown beyond your control, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's he goes in and he, you know, there's a very like Christ-like thing that happens, and you know he becomes, you know, he sacrifices himself, and you know he's dead, and the architect and the oracle are talking at the end, and there's a beautiful sunrise, and it's a whole different, like all the green overtones of the Matrix are kind of gone at that point, you know, and it's a bright sunrise on the city, and humans have the ability to leave the Matrix if they would like, you know.
So it's balance. That's what it seems like.
I don't know.
It feels like what you're describing. I never thought about it, but it feels like it's balanced because of the contrast of things you're saying. Hence, there's like a balance shifted. Like it's like a harmony in a way.
Right.
Like you said, like they're free to, if they want to do it, go ahead. If you not, go ahead, stay.
Right.
And so you have the freedom to choose. That's huge. That's a very huge contrast.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. So the humans, like, they shouldn't be stopped. The machines aren't going to be hunting the humans anymore.
Yeah.
But they're also not going to stop farming them. You know what I mean? So like they're still going to farm humans for energy, whatever.
Yeah.
So, and then we leave, you know, Neo's dead, et cetera, whatever. So in the beginning of this trailer, we see, you know, Neo in present day time, you know, 20 years later, talking to Neil Patrick Harris, as a psychiatrist.
Okay.
And you know, and Neo's taking the blue pills. He's taking these blue pills. There's a lot of symbolism in this. If you look, like Neil Patrick Harris's glasses are blue. Anything related to like the Matrix and control is blue, and anything related to like freedom is red. So if you watch the trailer, you can kind of see a couple of different things happen. It seems like there's some actual shots from the original movie happening in the trailer, like actual, like there's some like cinematic shots of them being in like a movie theater, and like it looks like the original Matrix movie is being shown.
Oh wow.
So I think that what's going on is, I think that like in the movie they call him Mr. Anderson, so he's obviously Thomas Anderson. I think in the movie he is somehow like I think that he, like, they reinsert him into the Matrix, right? Because like either that or he's the 7th version of the anomaly, you know what I mean? Like, and it's coming full circle again. But in this iteration, humans have to have the ability to be free or not. So like he can't just like leave them alone. So they have to find a way, like the machines are trying to find a way to keep the humans in the Matrix and not want to get out. So if you watch the trailer, like the humans are like attached to their devices, kind of like we are now. It's kind of an allegory commentary on society also, you know, just like the first one was.
Great.
But it seems like Neo's character in the movie, Thomas Anderson, is like either a movie designer or a game designer or something.
Yeah.
That he has
a
taken his
game.
dreams of the Matrix, which was the first, you know, movies. To him, he thinks they're dreams, and he's making them into pop culture. Like he's making like movies of that, like writing that script and starring in the movie, so that to the people that are inside the Matrix, they're watching the movie The Matrix, and they're like, oh man, you know, that's so trippy. Kind of like we are now. Like if we were in a simulation, you know what I mean? Like it would be us watching The Matrix and being like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Oh, that's so cool. You know what I mean? But that's really happening inside the movie. So at least that's what it seems like to me. But then you get like the Morpheus character, who they recast Morpheus. And there's a couple of scenes in the trailer where you see like Carrie-Anne Moss. And like, I think that like her and Neo's link is so important that like there's a couple of scenes in the trailer where you're like, oh, something's going on there. And they have like, there's a scene where you see like her or Neo like connected back like in a pod, but not until like the regular like scout base thing. You know what I mean? There's a bigger thing that like goes around their neck. It's almost like they bypass that port, you know what I mean? Right. Into a different port. And it, like, Christina Ricci has been cast in this movie, and there's a shot that's new for this movie, and it looks like the shot from the opening scene from The Matrix, where like she does that run up the wall and shit from the agents. You know what I'm talking about? But it never shows her Carrie Ann Moss's face. So I think that's going to be like Christina Ricci's character, and she's going to be like
I
another.
forgot she's in there.
Yeah, so there's like a bunch of cool shit that happens in this movie,
Yeah.
and I think that that's where they're going to go with it. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be like, this is kind of like Inception, like Matrix is a thing inside of the movie, but Neo, because he's the one, and they've made the truce, and like there's a fight sequence between him and the Morpheus character, and like he instantly like fucking like just demolishes the whole building with one hit. And like,
who recasted Morpheus? Who's rolling with Morpheus? Do you have any names or no?
I don't remember the guy's name. Paul, do you know the guy's name?
Lawrence Fishburne?
No, it's in this one. It's like Yaya or something.
Oh, it's a different orc? Or I mean,
yeah,
what-
they
or-
recast him.
Oh,
Because
why is that?
it's a younger version,
It has to
so
be.
I think
Old
that
as
it's
fuck
like.
and fat as fuck. I think. I mean, we all get there. For the most part.
Wow, Bob.
So for some reason, I thought
Oh,
you
you lazy
were.
fuck.
So like, does JoJo make an appearance in this shit? Because you said
Who?
that JoJo.
Who
I mean,
fucking
Mojo. Excuse me.
Does he?
I don't know.
Mojo
That'd be
Jojo.
great.
Who
Because
is
you're talking
fucking-
about like fucking someone. Like kind of sound like someone's pulling the strings, and there's alternate universe.
Well, there's-
that,
No, I
that
don't think
could
it's
be
an
a good
alternate
tie-in.
universe. It's like
alternate
Well,
reality.
you know,
It's
a
not an
fa-
alternate reality.
Well, I'm saying like fan, you know,
Yeah.
fiction, whatever. You
Exactly.
can merge it, fusion. You
Yeah.
know, like well, fucking why not find a
Alright.
way to bridge that gap.
so
basically.
what did you take away from that trailer, Paul?
Man, I don't know. It's just I just don't know what to expect. I'm saying like, what's the dilemma, or what is? I don't know.
What do you mean?
Well, the conflict in the film, like what is why is it why another film? Like what's going on?
Well, it seems like he's been resurrected and like he's having to fight for these people's freedoms again, and not really knowing like what's gonna happen with that. You know what I mean? Like, how do you move past that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's so many things that happen in the first Matrix movie. Like, how are they back alive? I mean, it just gives you a lot of questions. It's they agreed, like the machines agreed to let humans out. They agreed, you know, to all these things. But I mean, the thing is like, I don't know. It's just odd to me because they seem to have like given up that they did something to like kind of fuck them on it. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, we'll let you out. But then they changed the Matrix to the point where people don't want out. You know what I mean? You can't even convince somebody that the Matrix is fake. Kind of like nowadays, where even presented with facts, you still think that like that's not the truth. So I think it's going to be kind of a allegorical commentary on today's society and our like dependence on the internet for information and like two versions of the truth kind of thing, and like Neo like realizing that like what's going on versus like what's like what the Matrix really is, and like do you really want people out of the Matrix? Like, because if you're living in the real world, in the free world, like is that really something that's better?
Yeah, you gotta go get a fucking job.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Perspective.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people would want to actually.
Ultra. what's
And
that?
honestly, it's funny because that reality is coming. That's gonna happen.
Oh,
like,
shut
well, like
up.
Neuralinking or just. Well, I mean, that's kind of maybe where the message of the film could, you know, also. Well, another message, maybe like a, just you know, a commentary, social commentary, because it's happening. It's. And you know, some people are gonna want to upload their brain, you know, like their conscious to, or what I don't know, you know.
Who knows?
Just-
I mean,
just
if it
that
does, it's not gonna be in
transhumanism.
our lifetime. I think it'll be way in the future. I don't know.
But
Maybe,
I
don't
think
know.
that'll happen. It'll be getting close to it. I think because the acceleration of technology is
Unless we
it's
kill
just-
ourselves.
It's
like
evolving
everybody,
very
and we never
quickly.
get it, and we have to
I
start
don't know if you
over.
notice things.
Yeah, no, I know
like the
that.
past 10 years, technology is
Yeah,
just
it's moving
it's
super
fucking
fast.
crazy how fast.
There's no need for textbooks anymore.
Yeah, a lot
Until
of
we
things.
run,
There's
no
a lot
need
of
for
things.
what?
Textbooks
Well,
anymore. It's just all digital.
I mean,
you know?
it's
Yeah.
it's
Comic books
making
are
a
going
lot
that
of things
way, too.
obsolete.
Yeah.
It's so quick. It's just fuck, man. Like it's
Until they,
just
I mean,
crazy.
What do they really need though? Like, there's a certain element that they need, right? And if it goes out, then technology has to slow down. Like, what's like a conductor of electricity? It's like copper. What else?
Well, I
there's
mean,
several
copper is-
ways.
silver and shit. You know, like
Gold is the best conductor of electricity.
until they
but-
come up with something else. I think if that runs out,
No, so once you like when you understand the basics physics of like like if you're just talking about electrical conductivity, you want like the least amount of valence electrons that are easy to move, right? And that's gold. Gold is the ideal because it only has one orbit because it's so low on the periodic table that its outer shell has one free valence electron, so it's easy to bounce to the next ones. I think it has one free. Anyway, that's it. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong about exactly like how many valence electrons it has.
Probably
but
wrong. Or
Yeah.
it's the basics of the reason
Why keep
gold is the
going?
way it is because it's low on the total number of free of total electrons, and it's easy
okay,
to that.
Right.
That's why gold is what it is because I don't know if you remember like basic high school like physics, right? So like an atom has 2 electrons in its first valence orbit, and then 4, 4, 4, 4. All the rest of them have 4, right? So the conductivity is the ease of an electron to move from one atom to another, right? And that flow is the flow of current. Gold is the best because it only you're talking about that first orbit, or not the first orbit, but the second orbit. So you have a stable first 2 electron orbit, and then the second orbit is the one that you can bounce from. I think that like when you're talking about what's like the element that what we need now is like, well, if we run out of silicone.
okay. That's the point I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be something we're going to run out of that's going to slow down the production.
Yeah,
You know,
and the balance.
if we
will
don't create a
shift
new
and-
technology.
Well, if we don't, and that
And
brings
that's,
us,
you know,
Yeah.
and that brings us
That's
to quantum computing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So-
just evolving
Yeah.
as we should. I
yeah.
mean,
Right
that's
now it's
just
ramping up so fast,
natural.
right? But I think that because of lack of resources and we're not catching up to how fast we're going, it's
Yeah.
going to have to slow down before it speeds up back up again.
So there's a law. It's Moore's law, and it says that the number of transistors on a microchip will double every 2 years, which means basically like computing power per microchip will double every 2 years. But like transistors are getting so small, like we're to the point now where like you can't by next year, transistors will be so small that the basic principles of like the way a transistor works, the electrical barrier in between the 2 different elements that create the way a transistor works will be so small it'll be less than an atom, which then the transistor won't work at all. Wow. So it's one of those things, like next year Moore's law is going to be kind of obsolete. We'll have reached that point where we can't fit any more transistors onto a microchip. So what's next?
Was it
after
always
that?
2 years for Moore's law? Or
It's always it's transistors will double every 2 years.
Okay.
So and which means computing power will double every 2 years, and it's held pretty steady since the 80s when that came out. So the one of the bigger things is, so how do you get, like, how does technology progress past that, right? Past the point of the transistor. That's the easy answer, right? Make transistors smaller and smaller. They're talking about 6 nanometers now. Like, I mean, we're talking like microscopic, like almost to the point where you're talking like 3 or 4 atoms thick of element. You know what I mean? Like nothing.
Well, just think just thinking about that workhorse of a computer you have back there in your studio.
Yeah.
They kind of did the same thing with today's technology with this year's laptop that they released with the M1 chip. Apple did, and that's pretty much, you got your RAM, got your
can I get a beer? Maybe?
your CPU, your hard disk drive all together under one silicone chip, and that creates fast workflow. You'll be able to do what you.
That's all I got, baby.
Thank you.
You'll be able to do what you're doing on that computer on a laptop that's $600, $700 with an M1 chip now. Like, you're able to freaking render 4K footage in like 5 minutes, 10 minutes of 4K footage in 5 minutes, when that usually take like 2 hours on that type of machine or the machine I have at home. So stuff is moving faster and stuff is getting a lot smaller.
Sure.
Yeah.
But like, and that's what I'm saying is like, even with the M1 chip, like that's still, you're talking a 4-core chip. There's only so small that the transistors can get, because the way a transistor works is you have two layers of one element with another layer in between it, right? And the barrier in between those two elements, when you apply electromotive force to one side of it, that turns on that becomes a switch. You get electrons moving back and forth freely, so you can conduct electricity through it. So when you have these two different elements, and you make them smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, smaller. You know what I mean? Like, eventually the boundary between those elements gets to be to the point where it's almost non-existent. That's where we are now. So, like, if it gets any smaller, there won't be a boundary. Like, you won't get that free flow of electrons through there. They'll just, like, you can't.
Right.
It won't work.
So it'll halt.
Yeah.
So,
and that's where we're at
right now.
Coming like 2022. We can't really make them any smaller. So that's where we get into. And I wish that I knew that we were, I wish I would have read this article that my mom sent me, but this is where we get into quantum computing. And so quantum computing, and I'm going to fuck this up. And this is,
oh, right.
Yeah,
yes.
I know you caught me on something I haven't researched. So, so quantum computing is, from my understanding, and this is, so if you think about a computer, how fast it can do calculations, right? That's all linear, right? It has to do one equation after another and get the answer and move down the line, right? You know what I mean? Like if you have an algorithm, it's moving, do this, and it does, if this, then that, and this, and that, it's moving very linear. With a quantum computer, it doesn't have to move linear. It can move in 3 dimensions, if that makes sense. Okay, where it can do multiple computing at the same time. So something that, like an equation that maybe, would take even today's supercomputers a month to render. You know what I mean? Some of these like super complex calculus problems that they use to fucking find oil and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like these massive supercomputers that do these super complex algorithms that break
the code to become gods. These aliens are, right? So they use these students, these kids, and plug them into computers. And once they're plugged in, they're hypnotized to the screen, and they're just fucking computing. And they're using everybody. What's that? What are we doing?
I'm pointing at the Venmo.
Oh, nice. Okay, sure. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Pointing at your dick. Yeah, but no, and they're using everybody to crack this code to become God. So it's kind of the same thing. Maybe they're using other sources.
That's still like a very linear way.
Okay, yeah, it is, I guess.
It's really, like, I really don't really, obviously, if I understood quantum computing, I wouldn't be fucking doing this podcast. That's for damn sure. I'd be doing, I think that's like, if you talk about like what it would take to create a reality like the Matrix, like it would take quantum computing to be able to.
Would y'all want to live in that reality?
As opposed to like the other reality of war and like the Sentinels hunting
the
you and shit like that.
normal reality that we're living in now.
Like now, like where it go back
War's
to
been
like
around ever.
talking about like would I want to live in the Matrix as it existed when the first Matrix movie came out, like 1999, 2000. Now, would I rather be plugged into the Matrix than be living in the free world?
Having the option to do that.
Yeah, if you are in the Matrix, do you know you're in the Matrix?
No.
Can you have the choice to know you're in the Matrix?
No. If you know you're
the
out.
first Matrix, they know that they're in the Matrix.
No, they don't. They're not in the Matrix anymore.
Well, that'd be an interesting perspective. They're like just, I don't know, the freedom to do.
Well, just like that one Spielberg movie. What's that one? Player.
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One.
That's a virtual
I watched
reality
that recently.
It's a really
Great,
good.
man.
That is a really good.
I love that movie, man.
But like, if you had that option to go in there, just like in Black Mirror, I don't know if you've seen that episode where they kind of and create this world for themselves, and that's kind of like my world away from home.
Yeah, that's a virtual reality thing.
Yeah.
That's not really like that's not really what we're talking about here. We're talking about like, would you
lower level?
Would you want to be plugged into a virtual reality where you didn't know that was virtual? Or live in a world that was made up like the Matrix? Like, would you rather live in that world not knowing that was that world, like right now?
So if I get plugged in, when I go in there, I don't know anything. Like, I don't know that I had an old life.
No, you don't know anything about your old life. Your memory's wiped, and you just go in, and it's 1990. You wake forward after that is all controlled by the machines. So, like, will all the things that happened after that still happen?
Right.
Like, will 9/11 still?
Live
I
in that
mean,
machine's world.
and that's the thing. Like in the movie The Matrix, when it was made, they didn't know that was going to happen. So like the machine's program didn't happen.
Right.
So like you just lived in a world of like, you know.
But you don't know what kind of world you're living in, because once you get in there, you have no reference.
That's true. So like if you could, so basically the question is like if you could go, I mean, and it's basically the same question, right? So Paul, I'm gonna wipe your memory and drop you back into 1999.
No,
would you do it?
I the only way I would do it is if I was aware, conscious that I was in there, so they can allow me to, if I want to go to that'd be cool.
But you got to stay
no,
there.
No.
Yeah.
You only get 1 year.
That's bullshit. Like
You only
I mean,
we get to pick.
Well,
and
that's what I'm
drop
saying.
specific year, and that's the only. That's the only place you get.
I get that, but like it would be more enticing for people to want to maybe do it if they had the option to do so.
That's not the question we're
I
asking.
don't care then.
So no.
No.
Okay, you wouldn't do it. Yeah, okay. Because I mean, have a
Time
family.
travel.
Well, I mean, maybe if I was
Maybe you can bring it
like
with you.
single, depressed, broke, you know, maybe I don't know.
Raph?
I probably would.
Jesus.
I meant to say Raph.
Oh,
Or Dozier. Sorry. Nah, I'm just kidding.
I'm rolling with
Neither
Raph
one of
on that
those.
one.
Yeah, I'd roll with Raph first.
But no, I don't.
For sure.
Man, I don't know. Nah, it's enticing. It's interesting to check out. You know, I wouldn't.
So you'd be okay with it if you were just hopping in, hopping back out. If somebody
Make it a
came,
weekend retreat. Yeah.
No. What I'm saying is like if somebody came right in simulated reality, we have to start it over. You can I can either pull you out of this reality and drop you into whatever the real world is, and you don't know what. Reset your entire life, and you go back to 1999.
Off, that's what he's gonna say, right?
Yeah, whatever. I was beating off in '99. You go
That's
back to beating off in. You go back to being in '99.
Well, it'd be cool eventually if they had the technology to where you can actually, the closest thing you can get to time travel is like what I said, like visit any year.
Yeah.
Like that'd be cool. Like
Well,
just
that's
through
time travel.
Well, no, what I'm saying, like reality, like that's what I'm trying to say.
Well.
Yeah, like
To create the.
I hate seeing like.
I get what you're saying. You're saying like
just saying
the
for
target
if it was
amusement,
virtual,
you know?
not real.
It feels very real though. Either way, that's what I'm trying
But
to
then
say.
what if you don't? It creates
but
the
you're
version where you
aware-
don't even know what's real or not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Have the or not. I would choose be conscious about it because. What I know, just knowing, just like I want to explore this, like the 1940s or something. You know, just I want to go.
You buy a vehicle, or when you buy something, do you
contrast,
read the manuals?
The contrast from what I the contrast from what I know consciously, bringing that back with me to that, it just it would be interesting. It's like, wow, this is how they do this back then, or like, man, just how the balance and attitude or people are with because of that.
Right. I get you.
I would want to do that. Like, but that'd be cool if they had something like that.
Right. Okay. That's not the question.
That's
you
not.
have too many demands on this question.
I
That's what I'm asking.
that.
You read the manuals on everything.
Like putting stipulations on a fucking question that has zero stipulations that you can put at. I want to know the answer.
I know that because I just want it's killing me. I just wanted to say it.
Okay.
Okay,
right.
that's the question.
I get what you're saying now. You would like the time travel or virtual reality time travel, which wouldn't be realistic. Program the virtual reality machine. It's all dependent on that. It's like Westworld.
That's another thing, though.
That's a simulated reality. What I'm
know.
asking is,
I know
if Paul, guess what? For real, this is the Matrix, and I have to reset the program. You can either have the opportunity, I can unplug you right now, and you go into the real world. You have no idea, or I reset you back into 1999. Your whole life, body, everything. You wake up tomorrow, and it's September 18th, 19. You can catch Warp Tour 98?
98, yes.
Warp Tour 98 with the Deftones? Yeah, all right, fine. Warp Tour 98 with the Deftones.
You got
Nah.
the Deftones.
I wouldn't
So
do it.
you
No?
wouldn't do it.
No.
Like if you would roll the dice to see if possible, like the real world is better than right now. You already know how your life plays out from 99 to now. You already know what happens right then. You know,
Ooh, yeah,
you know, you're like, point. You don't have any of your memories, but the thing you do know is that you do know that like from there to here, whatever happens in that span, you could go back and be like, I can try to force myself to make good decisions. I'm going to really try to think about this. And, you don't know that whatever may or may not leak through. So, you know what I mean?
That's where we're at right now.
You're rolling the dice.
That's where we get the deja vus from.
You're rolling the
we're in
dice.
the
So
alternate
basically,
reality right now.
basically the question is like, do you go back being like, I either relive my whole life from 99 to now with exactly the way as it is now, or I get unplugged from whatever this simulation is, and whatever the real world is, I have no idea what that is. I personally would roll the dice and be like,
risk taker like that. I guess I'm risking by doing this fucking podcast. That's enough risk that I have need in my life right now. You know,
It's not risk; it's throwing it away. Like from what I know,
from what you're throwing what away, but you don't. One of your
what
choices is not to continue your life as.
Fuck it.
No, yeah, you would do it.
No, I wouldn't do it.
You would just be like, I'll roll the dice and see what the real world's like.
Yeah.
To me, that's the risk.
Is it?
Yes. That's you're talking about. No, I'm not going to go back and redo this. I know myself, and I know the decision. Know that like if I go back to 99, I will most likely end up. If I have my mind wiped, I will end up probably back in the same decision. Same in the same.
So you're not
circumstances.
gonna. You don't think they're.
The bigger risk is stepping into the complete unknown. You can get unplugged, and you could be like, "Holy fuck!" The real world is like the real world in the Matrix, where there's no. You live on a fucking.
What about the risk of like people doing stuff to your body while you're in the fucking Matrix?
Let them, baby.
It's like, look at this guy. I don't know, man. That's mind trippy, man. Like, what if we're in an alternate reality right now, and we're waiting to die to be, and then we're gonna be unplugged?
No, that like if you die in the Matrix, your body will be ground down and
this
fed intravenously to the other people that are plugged into the Matrix. Just like all these same conversations with friends when the Matrix came out originally in 1999.
And here we are,
high as fuck, sitting around talking about like where the Matrix Resurrections is going. Like if you look at like what's happening in the movie, if Thomas Anderson's character, like from what I read from the trailer, is correct, he's interpreting his dreams from his past lives as the anomaly, Neo, as fictional storylines that he is perpetrating into video games or movies or whatever. Because at the very end of the Matrix Resurrections trailer, he's sitting there talking to Jonathan Groff's character, who we don't know who it is, a psychiatrist of some kind, or his boss at the movie or video game, to go back to where it all started after all these years, to go back to the Matrix. He says that to Thomas Anderson so the Matrix is a pop culture thing. Right, you know what I mean? Right. It's such a mind fuck to think about it that way. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know.
The explanations could be freaking endless, man.
Yeah, I mean, there really could be.
Like, what if we're like face to face with a speeding train, and right now what we're living is our lives. Like right now we're dying right now. There's a train coming, or you're dying
the minute you're born.
There you go. Good. Fair enough.
Let me tell you something.
Body can only.
There is. You never know what's going to take you out.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. Like, is it going to be a long way? You don't know if it's cancer is going to get you. You don't know if
Norm Macdonald style.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know, like, and die young. You know what I mean? Like, tomorrow is not a guarantee. So why worry about it? Like, why not just live your life?
Fair enough. Was it Neil deGrasse Tyson mentioned, like, we were like not alive millions and millions of years. Why does it matter if we die tomorrow? You've been dead for millions and millions of years in the past. So it's an interesting perspective to think about it like that.
We live in a great street and head over to Eureka Heights and catch some Buckle Bunny or some Mini Boss or over Paul's head behind there, some Space Train. I was waiting for a really like heavy moment to like plug Eureka Heights. Make sure that the tap room's open. So y'all head over there, 941 West 18th Street. If you see us on the street, ask. We'll give you some beer tokens, and you can use them over there and tell them Gentlemen No Class sent you. And they may or may not, but I'm pretty sure that they will give you cool shit.
Oh yeah.
So
it's a fun place.
It is a fun place. And Thursday nights, Laces Out Running Club is back up and quote unquote running.
They were in.
So anyway, back to our discussion on the Matrix. I didn't mean to like
No, you're
downer the whole.
What is it? What are the odds of us living in a time where technology is booming the way it is, and where, 150 years in the past, we would have been soaked around the same technology that's been around for thousands and millions of years?
Say that again.
So, what are the odds of us being dropped in this life on this planet in a time where technology is booming so fast, so rapidly, with the push of a button, whereas 150 years behind us, they were stuck at that same technology that lasted for thousands, millions of years? The odds. So, what does that tell you? Like, what if this is a repeat, or what if this is like Jake fucking around with me person and just pulling the strings? When we die, I'm gonna be like, haha, yeah, that was fun. I'm gonna go live my life now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You just blew Paul's. So what? I mean, that's
Interesting.
you're basically what you're.
What if there was no early 1900s?
Well, that's what you're proposing is that like, well, that's what the Matrix, the movie, was all about. Was that was humanity at the height of the 20th century, the peak of humanity because after that they invented AI. At that point, if you look at the 100 years that happened between, let's just say, 1909 or call 1899 to 1999, that 100-year span, even that 50-year span from like 1940 to 1990, like the technology gap that happened there, if you really think about it, what year did Orville and Wilbur Wright fly the airplane?
Early 1900s.
Yeah.
1908, 1910?
Yeah, something around
In
there.
1969, we landed on the fucking moon?
Yeah.
Allegedly. I'm a
In
believer, but allegedly.
1947.
Roswell,
Yeah.
aliens came here. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you really
Theories say
think about
that's
it.
where boom.
Well,
really
I mean, exactly. Like, so if you really
technology
think about it,
uncovered.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, think about it like this. Like, we had the horse and buggy for hundreds of years. And then the Industrial Revolution happened. What kickstarted the Industrial Revolution? Like, people inventing machines to do people's work because people got fucking lazy.
Yeah.
Is what it was, really. You know what I mean?
Where's
And then,
lazy
like,
fucks?
what really
automation
ushered that way into like even further was the invention of the microchip and transistors and things like
But
that.
how lucky are we though to live in this?
Grateful.
Right? Dropped
Lucky?
at the perfect
Really?
time.
Lucky?
I mean, you
Grateful.
want go turn your AC off and live back then.
I mean,
Come on, seriously.
comparatively,
Yeah,
like
go
for real,
sleep.
That
like you're
lifestyle.
talking compared
Yeah.
like to the lifestyle I know now. You want to remove me and drop me into the 1800s?
Yes.
Yeah, that's gonna
Yes.
suck.
Yes.
But if I was
I
born
know,
in the
I know,
1800s, I wouldn't know any
Yeah,
better.
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, of
just
course.
like now, like
Yeah.
if it was the year fucking what year is it? 2021. If it was the year 2121, you know what I mean? And technology was so much better now.
8K cameras.
Yeah, like if we were living in Futurama times and you were like,
Yeah.
what if I dropped you back in 2021? I'd be like, fuck that. That would suck. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because you don't know any better. But
Yeah.
now we're like, yeah, we're living in the height of technology.
Gotta
It'll never
adapt.
get any better than this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like movies. I'm curious on the resolution. Like how do you get better than what it is today? with
You were
4K?
in the movie. You become Wolverine.
Yeah, you
Become,
be-
yeah.
Fuck
You're in
that.
the movie. Yeah, you keep talking.
I like to, like I said, I'm the type of person, and call me old school. I still like to see a little film burn, little pops in my screen.
Actual film.
You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
me, but whatever. It seems too
It's a dying
fake
breed.
and digital.
It's
Digital
all it's
style.
getting all digital
Yeah,
now.
whatever.
Well, I mean, everything's digital. It's going to continue being
I like a
digital.
little analog in my
Yeah.
life every now and then.
Here.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As we're doing
it
a
is what
complete
it is.
digital
It's just,
broadcast.
Hey, you know,
it's just evolution. It's gonna happen.
I'm swallowing liquid, not bits.
So I'm
whatever.
curious. I'm curious about this. Here's something that maybe Paul can answer for me.
Maybe.
So you deal with data cabling and stuff like that. What are the limitations of data cabling?
Data or data?
Whatever.
I'm just saying.
You know what I mean? Like, what's going to be faster than what's Cat 7? Like, how do you get faster than that on four double-stranded wires? Do they have to have a new Is
Interesting.
it fiber optics?
It's all the way
or-
to Cat 8 right now, actually.
And what's the difference between like a Cat 5 and a Cat 8? Like, what's the data? Well, I know
It's
Cat
just-
5 and Cat 6.
it's
There's
the
a big
bandwidth,
gap.
I believe, or they got some of them have it's the gauge of wire, and it's thicker, and
Sticker's always better, huh?
it's got like strain reliefs and stuff like that in there.
That makes sense.
Uh,
But you
but
throw some
really,
glass in there, no?
fiber,
Yeah, fiber.
fiber right now is like, I mean, that's the fastest connection right now. But for now, from when I took a class a few years ago, the guy was explaining, the teacher was explaining that right now, like the fiber has a lot of potential. Like the technology is just not there yet. It to reach its full, like it can. From what I know, it can. I mean, it can do a lot more. Right now than it, can. It's just the technology providing it, like your switches,
Right.
the power, the source basically
Right.
Of it. Like it's not, it's gonna get better and better. Like we're talking about earlier about the what's called the processors and shit. Just like this, the same shit. It's just evolving. It's just they're trying to figure out how to improvement and make it faster.
What sucks about
Utilize
that though
it
is that
where-
when they create a new technology for that, that means there's going to be fucking new lines being dropped, a lot of fucking ripping the ground up and throwing new lines in there.
there's a lot of there's a lot of
suck.
old analog stuff that's
It's still in the ground,
backbone.
yeah.
And I think it stays too, because like that's digital, like you can still rely on analog lines for emergencies. It's got to be there for that. Like it's like with no power, you don't need power for that.
Yeah, that's true.
But most phones are digital. Like if people do have them or
Like
use
with
them,
that voice over IP.
it's digital.
But I mean, like old phones, you had to plug them in and be connected to the phone line. But like some of the older phones would draw their power directly from the phone line, so they would work even if like the phone lines were down or But I mean, you still have to have power to them. You know what I mean? It's not like.
No.
What do you mean not necessarily? If they
No.
draw their power, the power has to come from somewhere.
No,
It doesn't come out of fucking pure fucking
I'm
magic.
talking about okay.
chances-
I'm not talking. I'm talking
What
in the
chances
house.
are?
Yeah, I
No.
am too.
No, I'm talking
but-
about you plug it in. If it's connected, there's power out there from the line,
But-
you'll still get a phone line.
You're still pulling
but
power.
I-
You still require power. If the power's out,
in your home, I get that.
the power's out. The power's out. Like the grid's down. Like,
But if it's analog, it'll still connect. That's what I'm trying to get at.
no, it won't.
It won't.
No,
Are you sure?
The power has to come
Okay.
from somewhere. If the grid's down, the grid's
But
down.
you're saying the grid. I'm saying the house. Your house is out of power.
How would the
Well,
house be
no, but-
down and like?
but no,
what
yeah,
they
no.
shut your power off? But
I don't know.
No.
So
I'm
you
just-
can't
I'm
pay
talking
your
about-
power bill, but you can pay your phone
No,
bill.
no.
they're
Those
ahead.
those ties they're pretty far ties, the cable ties, these backbones. So there could be like that could be unaffected. And a lot of times, like when the power went off, I remember old, what's called like the old my old parents'
Yeah, the
house.
phone would still
the phone
work.
would work.
Yeah.
It just depends, like if it's unaffected. But the
If
point
it's
is,
off of that
the
particular
point is,
grid?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The whole point of that is just basically like chances are like emergencies, like that's your best bet.
Right.
Like it's not a surefire thing, but like everything. Well, everything else is going to be powered down, but that might has a higher chance of being active, being able to work.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
that's why they still require, or they're going to always I
Like
believe
code
just
have one.
they're just gonna at least for emergency for certain areas around the country, like there's so many like I said, old just backbones, just network of old copper ties. So just
Well, so here's the thing that
Crazy.
like
So
that-
Rob's wrong.
I remember
Yeah.
reading
No, I mean yes. I mean in that
You're talking
particular
about
instance that
thank you,
you're
Paul, for
talking
that.
about.
Thank you.
updating
Yeah,
that
we're
like
tag teaming here.
billions to
You go
update
fuck
it
yourself, all right?
too.
Okay, so but that's going to be antiquated at some point because like even with digital technology, AT&T is shutting down its 3G network starting in February of 2022.
5G, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean everybody got the vaccine, so there's 5G everywhere, right? That's what Cliff says. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like eventually that technology. at least that technology like there you go. At least that technology like it was there, but it's gone. You know what I mean? Like that 3G technology is leaving.
Yeah.
So it's just like anything else, like
Yeah,
antiquated
like,
at some point and be
well,
removed.
when they figure out a solution to where like something to substitute it, the next best thing. you know,
yeah.
they'll figure it out. Like,
it's a fuck stick, huh?
yeah.
Like that'll last whenever
So-
like martial law kicks in. You know, like
Yeah, from Tekken.
The Purge.
the purge.
The fucking. That's when we go purging.
Jeez, we're gonna.
I think you're talking about Tekken.
Yeah.
Tekken. What the fuck is a Tekken?
Game.
Eddie.
Game.
Was it?
Tekken.
Fucking.
Yeah,
Brock,
Eddie,
Eddie Goro,
the one that
There you
does
go.
the flips and shit.
Woo, yeah.
Fucking like that's everybody's go-to fucking
Course, yeah,
character.
yeah.
Fucking
Exactly.
lazy
I don't know what you're
bastards.
talking about.
The
Tekken.
game, no.
Arcade. It came to the
Tekken,
PlayStation. It was
Tekken
a
1,
huge
2.
arcade game.
I don't know that game.
Showing your age, Rob.
That doesn't
Showing your
mean
age.
you.
That's another thing, man. You know what would be a gold mine? Maybe for people like us,
What?
investing into a fucking arcade, like a room, like you know, joysticks and like maybe even speeds.
No
but-
kids. No fucking kids.
But
and
for us,
drinks.
our age.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't allow kids in.
No,
Oh.
even it's gotta be the minimum age. It's gotta be like 35. Too.
I would go.
I don't want.
I'll go in the
I don't.
20s.
I go.
Fuck that.
I'd go
Fuck
18.
them.
I'd go 18.
they don't deserve
I'm talking
it.
about, man, like-
this is
like
our
old
You're
thing.
talking about like a Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
this
but
is
like
when
not,
no
not,
kids.
not,
No,
not,
but
not contract
this is our
games for
thing,
Dave and
our
Buster's. I'm talking about like
generation.
Miss Pac-Man, you know, Terminator with a fucking Uzi and shit, you know,
Oh,
Lethal
hell yeah.
Enforcers with a
Yeah.
fucking 6-shooter, pink and blue gun,
Time Cop and
Time
shit.
Cop, you know, shit like that, man.
Like the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game that
Reload,
nobody could possibly
reload.
beat.
Oh man,
Battle Frogs.
Battle Toads or Battle Frog?
Yeah, whatever. Battle Toads,
shit.
Battle Frogs,
Same shit.
whatever. Same shit.
I got you, but in like,
Isn't that voted like the hardest game
I think
of
it
all
was.
time?
Yes, I think it was. I never
Like
played
there's
it, but-
no end to that
Yeah.
game.
Man, just
I remember having that game. I'm like, I cannot get past like the first fucking level. This game sucks ass.
Yeah, I don't think I ever played it.
We are way off topic. By the way, anybody tuning in right now, this is what we started talking about, which is the Matrix Resurrection.
I didn't even see
Now
the
we're
trailer.
talking about Battletoads.
Battletoads.
So this is where we're at. Welcome
You
to the
son
Riddlin Society.
Yeah. That's just how you guys do
That's
it.
the new name of the podcast, the Riddlin Society.
Yeah. Oh well.
man.
I guess.
So-
Nice.
Anyway, I guess on that note, I guess we've pretty much wrapped this episode up talking
A
about
lot
the,
of time has
especially
expired.
since Jake didn't watch the Matrix Resurrections.
Well, I mean,
And
Giving him shit.
yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I wanted to watch.
you didn't watch What If either.
I did. No,
Not
I did.
all of
this
it.
motherfucker didn't watch What
Yeah,
If.
he
I
didn't.
half an episode.
Yeah, this.
Yeah.
He's like,
You
yeah,
said
I
something.
watched it. I watched half an episode.
Yeah.
You
He
fucking
read
cock.
the Cliff Notes, and it was just his
welcome.
He
dad,
read-
Cliff, telling him. So he could take
This is
notes.
Here's the Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the fucking Republicans or the Democrats. They did it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Libtard. Right.
libtards. There you go.
You gotta throw
Libtards.
a punch at it. Libtard, or what other fucking comical name did you know? There you go. That's another one, I guess.
We haven't heard this
Long
one.
live the blue.
We haven't heard this one in a while.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens.
Terrible.
Oh
And
man.
then-
And on
Nope.
that note,
Still
I have been Rob.
And I'm Jake.
No, say it again so you're on camera.
Paul. What?
Oh, I just heard a breath.
All I heard was
Paul.
Paul, you say?
yeah.
All right, and let's just roll that outro music so we can talk shit.
What outro music?
Aw.
Oh no,
We'll catch you on the next
Okay.
one.
Thank you. All right, I need to slam some like heroin to go through this song.
You need
one
to
more
slam
time.
some heroin.
Go through the
Yeah,
song one
that
more time.
sounds so much
Oh, we're gonna be
better.
playing this song. It's a thing now. Like
Okay.
now you have to play it every
Thank-
outro.
Oh, shit.
I don't know that we can get away with doing an episode without playing this song.
Oh,
Nah.
Yeah, you can.
My boss just called me saying I'm taking a pay cut because we're playing this song again. Like, God damn it.
Well, get us a new song and we'll
Sing it very
debut at
first
episode
one.
100. We'll debut a new
Okay,
song.
there you go. There you
It's
go.
gonna be this song, but the remix is what Paul's gonna write for us.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's not gonna be called the ride home. It's gonna be called the ride back to work.
right back to
Terrible.
there. It's like it's gonna be called No More Rides. I'll just fucking Uber.
Yeah, go fuck. It's gonna be called "Go Fuck Yourself" is what it's gonna be called.
There you go. Oh man, I love it.
Time.